Guys, how's it going? This is Miguel with SoCal Watch Reviews. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe. Please help the channel out. We've been doing this for a little over 4 years and we're going to continue to do it. So before we get into this review, I want to let you know that this watch is not really known throughout the watch community just yet. It's a very cool watch and I am lucky enough to review it. Now, this is a company by the name of Knopf, New York. As the name states, they are in New York, and the specific model is the NY-405 black steel. Now, let me give you a little backstory of the company itself so you could kind of understand what we're going to be taking a look at here. Now, Knopf was founded in Manhattan by a father and son team, Larry and Gage Knopf. Now, the father and son duo felt the market was saturated with all too similar classic styles. They saw an opportunity to create something fresh and new, and of course, timepieces that would stand out from the sea of classic designs, and in my opinion, this really definitely stands out. Now, according to the Knopf family, the inspiration for their watches are from Swiss craftsmanship dating back to the 16th century to the groundbreaking Art Deco skyscrapers of the early 1900s. And we can see that very much so on that dial, but let's get into the specifications of this watch. The case material is 316L stainless steel. We do find a sapphire crystal. Diameter on this guy, they claim is 41 millimeters. I measured in at 40.7 millimeters. Lug to lug 50.6 millimeters. The thickness is 11.5 millimeters. Not too bad. Weight, now this is with the unsized bracelet, is 156 grams. The watch does feature a really cool exhibition case back. We'll talk about the movement a little bit later on in the video. And it does feature a screw down crown that's signed and it measures in at 5.4 millimeters. The watch has a water resistance of 50 meters. So, of course, the main thing you see when you see this watch is that funky dial. It could be very polarizing. It could be very cool, it could kind of be very intriguing, or it could be something that you're not attracted to. I've shown this watch to many people and I'm getting all kinds of different answers from different people. Me specifically, when I first saw it, it didn't jump off the page, if you will, when I saw it on their website, but once I had it in hand, I thought it was really cool. I think it's a really cool design, and of course the inspiration of the dial is from the iconic Chrysler building, and you know, it's just very distinct. I like the applied indices on the side that kind of look like little mountains, and the dial's been finished very well. We do see some brushing throughout, and it's very cool how it plays with the light. The way that you can tell what time it is through that fixed bezel. But yeah, continuing on with that dial, they do have different color iterations of this watch. I believe they have a gold one, kind of a blue one. I chose to go with this Tuxedo dial, if that's what you want to call it. I think is pretty cool. It's interesting. We do see the company name, the logo at the 12 o'clock, then at 6 o'clock word automatic, the date window right there, which is pretty cool, has been framed by this polished little square, and then the word Swiss made at the bottom. Nice hands there, great seconds hand, very interesting design to say the least. Like I said, it could be very polarizing, but I find it refreshing. I find it different. I like it. That bezel, it's a cool looking bezel. Not 100% sure what the bezel is constructed from. We do find a mixture of Roman numerals and Arabic numerals, and again, this is to kind of tell the time, if you will. Something that was very impressive of this watch, and I really was kind of wasn't expecting, was a lume. They are using Superluminova BGW9, and there's plenty of it on the dial. Of course, the hands and those little, I don't know if you want to call them indices, but those triangles, and then on the bezel. And because of the dial being mostly white, the reflections on it are really cool. It almost seems like the whole dial is glowing, and that was very cool. Now, the case design is very simplistic, but it's finished pretty well, mostly brushed, but not bad. I didn't find any rough edges. The crown is not the easiest to grip, but we'll get to the cons at the end of the video. That is one of them. However, it was easy to operate once you were able to kind of engage with it. The bracelet. So this particular model does come with a solid 316L stainless steel bracelet that measures in at 21 millimeters, and it does have a double locking fold over clasp. Yeah, it's silver in color, of course. We do find a mixture of polishing and brushing, not a huge fan, never been a huge fan of the polishing in the center links. I think they scratch very easily. I prefer the whole thing to be brushed and maybe on the edges a little bit of polishing, but again, that's just a personal choice. Another thing that I prefer are screws when sizing my bracelet. This does use a pin system. Nonetheless, the bracelet feels solid. I mean, it feels good, feels well constructed, well manufactured. We find a milled clasp. So yeah, nothing much to really complain here except the kind of aesthetic thing. One thing I did find though is that the clasp was a little hard to open. I'm not sure if it was just me, but maybe with a little bit more wear you could open it and close it easier. On the case back, like I said, we do find a display case back. This is very cool, especially if you're new into watches. And on the case back, we do see a few words, sapphire, how many hours of power reserve, and the movement and the name of the model of the watch. Now, this particular watch is using a Swiss movement, the STP-1-11. This is an automatic self-winding movement that does beat at 28,800 beats per hour. Now, accuracy, they are saying is -3 + 7 seconds a day. It features 26 joules and 44 hours of power reserve. And the mainspring is actually anti-magnetic. I'm not super familiar with these movements, so I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and pretend like I know all about these movements. I'm more familiar with ETA movements, of course, all the Japanese stuff and the Solita, but not super familiar with these. I've heard numerous kind of mixed reviews about them, both in the negative space, but mostly positive. So I can't really complain much about the movement of this actual watch. With that said, I mean, those are kind of the specs and the overview of this watch. Let me get into some of the pros and kind of dig deeper into this watch brand. And the reason I want to do that is because this specific watch comes in at $1,395, so $1,395. That is a lot of money. It has a lot of competition on the market. These guys are new. I just want to give my pros, my cons, and my overall kind of conclusion as to how I feel about this watch and maybe what I want to see from the watch brand. So the pros, of course, that dial design. It is very unique, very different. You can't argue with that, right? Whether you like it, whether you don't. I mean, it is very, very unique, very cool. The lume, great lume. I can't complain about the lume. I thought the lume was actually pretty cool. This is not really a dive watch. It's kind of an everyday watch. And wearability overall, I think it wears great. I have a 6 7/8 inch wrist. The fact that the watch doesn't weigh that much is pretty good, right? It's 156 grams, like I said, with the unsized bracelet, so a little bit more around the 148, something like that. Once you size it, maybe 150, so it's not bad. Of course, once you throw it on leather or something else, it could be a lot lighter. Cons, so the bracelet finishing and clasp, yeah, like I said, I prefer more of a brush finish, and I get it, they went for that kind of high polish look because they want to make it look expensive perhaps, but for me this would look better brush with maybe some bevels of polishing. And that clasp, honestly, for this price point, I would expect this to be like butter right out of the box, and it wasn't. The crown is a little too small. Like I said, the crown does measure in at 5.4 millimeters. That is a little difficult to kind of set the time, and I don't have particularly huge fingers, so I would like to see a little bigger crown on this guy. A 21 millimeter lug width, that's more of a personal choice, nothing wrong with that, but there is more variety when it comes to the 20 millimeter, so that's more of a personal thing. Also, water resistance, 50 meters is not bad, but this really strikes me as a kind of maybe everyday piece that you could wear. But with the 50 meters water resistant, I think some people may feel limited, especially when you want to go swimming, or I don't want to say diving, but this is a type of watch that maybe you do wear every day, but maybe not for every single activity. And lastly, the price. So we got to talk about that, right? $1,395. You could go Nomos, you could go Seiko, you could go a lot of different ways, Christopher Ward. So there's a lot of competition on the market. What this has going for it though, it's his looks. It is very different, very unique. So if you want to be different, you want to be unique, you want to stand out, this is the type of watch that you go for. Nobody's going to know what you have on the wrist, and that is a good thing. So hopefully with this review, the owners and the company can maybe fix some of those issues moving forward, whether it's with the price or the crown or whatever, or maybe not, maybe keep it and just kind of tweak a thing or two, and that's fine. For me, this is a lot of money. I would consider this watch sub $1,000. That's just me. But overall, great watch. I can't really complain. Presentation was nice. The watch itself is nice. Just the price point is kind of what I had a real major issue with. But overall, pretty great quality. I can't really have many complaints about it. But let me know what you think of this watch. Let me know what you think of, I don't know, this price category. What do you think? What are you picking? But yeah, leave me a comment, hit like, subscribe, and as always, my friends, stay humble.